Hello.
Hello. There you are, Tony. I was waiting for you.
I thought you were. You're pushing the buttons again, aren't you?
Yeah, well, hey, it's your show. Get on it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness show, with myself and Kate of Gaia. We've got Miranda with us tonight, and we've got also Dezert with us, and of course Kate. Are you going to comment, Kate?
Sorry, what was that, Tony?
I say, you going to say anything, Kate?
Am I going to sound in? Absolutely. You know me, I'm a noisy bitch. Anyway, we got Desert Owl and Miranda. We're gonna have some fun taking a walk down the yellow brick road and opening some eyes tonight and some ears and hopefully some hearts, because that's where the answer truly lies. I was just talking to the good witch Glinda of the North, and she just reminded me that you've always had the answer within. Now click your heels together and say, "No place like home, no place like home, no place like home," and I'll see you there. Because we're there, and we're just waiting for everyone else to show up. Fair?
Cryptic from the first word.
Oh, damn straight. I'm not messing around anymore, because this game is just far too much fun. So let's make sure we got Desert and Miranda. We got you guys or what?
Hi guys.
I'm standing by.
Right on. Anyway, if we can get both Desert and Miranda to talk a little bit about what their magic tricks are, and just to give the people an idea of well, we've had both as guests before, but for any of the new listeners, absolutely, Miranda, if you can tell us a little bit about lexicograms, how they work, what their meanings are, and Desert, you can give your intro, and we'll get this yellow brick road walk going.
Yeah, go right ahead, Miranda, and I'll follow.
Okay, hi. Lexicograms. It's a term used to describe a mystical property of words similar to numerology, and lexicograms decode hidden messages in words or titles by putting together full sentences from letters in that word that convey a deeper meaning of the original word, and it is considered a spiritual process. It's not a game, it's very deep. It's similar to anagrams, but that's just for fun, whereas this really penetrates and makes you really discover what's within.
A very cryptic continuation.
It gets better, kids. Stay tuned.
How about you, Desert?
Right, and that was interesting to hear that from Miranda. Lexigram, that's actually what I do. I just didn't know that term in particular with words, as I did earlier today with you guys. Remember, holy. I gave that example. That was a lexigram where I decode or read the symbol, and so I'll be interested in hearing more from Miranda on that. But I've been researching for 40 years now. 20 years I got into 20 years ago I got into political activism, so I brought the ancient studies into our modern fold, because I could just read all of the signs and all of the enigmas within our modern time, and then kind of realized that we were in an occult world that goes back to the beginning of time, and basically tried to get involved politically, then realized that it was bigger than me, and basically there was nothing legitimate about the government or anything, so therefore you couldn't really legitimately fix it when it was all smoke and mirrors. And so I went past the illusions and went into really how the world is operating on a grander scale, and trying to put the pieces together on the ancient history and how it all came forward from the beginning of time, collecting lost writings, and then being a symbologist, expert in symbolism, and etymologist, expert on root forms of words, and mythologist, able to interpret ancient mythologies. I studied mythologies from around the world, and as well as religions around the world. So I'm pretty studied, pretty well-rounded. I homeschooled, so I ended up with 2,000 books on the shelf, and I serve the great breath of the Heavenly Father, and want to try to do my part to make it a better world. But there's a lot of aggression going on out there trying to thwart all that. So, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the aggression's the challenge, isn't it? This is the point that we're actually getting to. It's not about fighting the system. It's about actually figuring out what are you trying to tell me, and that's what it comes down to, I think. But Kate.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record because until people get this, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's all about perspective and intention behind that perspective, and until people can start looking outside of their own boxes or their own narrow perspective of looking at it only one way as they were taught, as in told tight to believe, until they can let the fabric loose a little bit, their thread. We're all interweaving threads of the same fabric. And once you let go of a lot of the old paradigms and the belief systems that are there, all that stuff that was painted on your white canvas since you were born, until you can actually start scraping that stuff off, you will not, and I promise you will not have an original idea in your head. And it's only when you can let go of what you thought you knew that you will actually start, making room for what you really need to learn. And most of this journey, for me anyway, has been about staying original and learning and unlearning things at the same time. Exposing things for what they are, not for what people tell me they are. It's sort of like someone talking about they heard something on the news and, oh, well, that's great. Were you there? Well, no. Well, then, good one. Then shut up, I have that effect on pots and stuff around me. This shit falls off everywhere. It's awesome. It's not just on Skype, guys. It happens everywhere. It's beautiful. I must make the Invisible Wizard a little nervous, but that's okay. I love the Invisible Wizard.
Make sure it sounds like it's falling back up as well as down. It's all good. So any particular perspectives from your ideas, Dezert, on what we just said?
Well, no, I'm really interested in hearing Miranda talking about the lexigram. I'll be glad to give some examples of that, but I'll give the floor to her right now, because I'm intrigued.
Well, good. Miranda.
Okie dokie. Well, I don't know if you guys have all heard of Linda Goodman. She was a really amazing astrologer, and
No.
This is really... Oh, okay. She's supposedly no longer around, but I think she's probably immortal, but there you go. She wrote some amazing books. They're huge bestsellers. Sun signs, star signs, relationship signs, lots of them. And star signs was the most esoteric, and this is where I learned all about lexicograms. You can do it with people's names, you can do it with a sentence, or I'm just trying to think. Basically, you can base it on anything, but you can find a deeper, truer meaning of something. And just to give you an idea, and also what you do, so take a word, and I'm going to just give you a word, earthlings. So we've got EARTHLINGS. So I can use any letters from that word, but I'm only going to use letters from that word. And this is a little lexigram, and then it ends up being a poem. So earthlings. Earthlings share, heal things. Earthlings align. Earthlings heal the earth, heal the heart, heal the ether, heal the air. Earthlings release the sin. Earthlings, let's share. Earthlings, let's share the earth. Let's release the tears. Earthlings, let's share the light and share the air. Tesla is the light. Seal this earth, seal the hearts, his and hers, hers and his. Listen, earthlings. She, the earth, sang. She is the sign. Earthlings, listen. Listen, then glisten. She is the light. He is the light. Ears hear the earth sing.
Very good. Is that your original interpretation of that word earthling?
Yeah. And I've been interpreting lots of different things recently, so it's quite. I mean, I've been really sort of going out there with this at the moment.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I mainly wanted to bring you on, Miranda, because we speak in the same language.
Yeah.
And we see the same coincidences. And what I was trying to explain earlier is about threads that weave. And there's Miranda and Zoe, like right off the bat. Nothing personal with anyone. It's just I've done most of the work with that. That we've learned how to weave our threads together, and Tony too, to bring things into the now moments where things will trigger, and you'll see how your thread is so critical to you and only you. It's like, I use this example. Your birthday is special to you. It doesn't make you special because there's millions of people on the planet that share it. What is special about it is the fact that there are clues in it for you and only you from your thread's perspective. And what I've been doing with Miranda and Zoe and Tony and a few others, that once you start to see how the panorama or the matrix unfolds before you, it becomes fun. And I want you to do the Wizard of Oz lexigram if you can, please, Miranda, just to... we're really going outside the box on the cosmic blueprints tonight, so hope everybody's ready with seatbelts.
Totally.
Okay, I'll just explain that... which one are we doing? Or Gravity Falls?
Wizard of Oz, then we'll do Gravity Falls, because I want to start showing people how to tie this together and how the Black's Magic 9th edition works.
Because I haven't done a Wizard of Oz one. Oh, did I? Hang on. No, I have. Haven't I? Yes, sorry.
Yes, you have. We talked it yesterday on the show. I know you're so beautiful. I love you.
Yeah,
oh, my God. Hang on. Let me find it. It's typical. The only one I didn't get up. Hang on. Where is it? Lexigrams. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So, the Wizard of Oz. We are Dozier. We are Dozier. Dorothea. Oh dear. Oh dear. Weird red footwear. A foot. 2 foot. Toward the road, the triad drift. To the tor. The toroid. The trio trod the road. The triad. A thread adrift. The trio are DOA. The trio tread the road with Dorothea with weird red footwear. Head for the wizard. To the wizard door. The Theo door. To the whiz. To the head wizard. White-haired wizard. The road to freedom. Wet the weirdo with water. Wither her. Froth her. Zero her. Hot air raised her. Hear the hurts. Hear the heart rate. Frodo the foe. And interestingly, Desert Owl, you mentioned earlier about W and M, and I totally agree. And whenever I have a W, if there isn't an M in whatever I'm lexigramming, I will flip it over and do the mirror image so that you can have an M. I think that's very important. And
like a Z can be an N as well. Again, you have to be creative, and this is one of the things that this is why I'm loving having both you and Dezert, all 4 of us actually. I'm hoping that Zoe might be able to show up too. But what Dezert did was one of the previous shows that we did with him was he did the straw man. I'll expand on this just to show you the perspective, Dezert. What you did was a perfect straw man interpretation of the Wizard of Oz, using full analytical and seeing the legal fiction straw man from the straw man mindless viewpoint, and it was beautiful. And what we're doing then is once you discover what the straw man really is, that is the illusion and the trap to get you thinking that you can solve something within that paradigm, which you can't. There's no remedy there never was, but there is a way out, and that's what we had to do is change our tack and move down the yellow brick road. Remember when the scarecrow in the movie, when Dorothy first comes across the scarecrow, there's a number of different ways that she could have went. because the the scarecrow didn't know which way to go, and he pointed his arms in either way, so it was kind of a mindless activity. But what Dorothy did was she followed her instincts, and it took her on the right road. And that's what happens with us when we get caught up in our straw man analytical, is we can go off in so many different directions, and only one of those paths leads home, and it's the only one that does is the intuitive. So that's when you break free of the straw man, when you stop using all the analyticals, the anal light I calls, right? You don't want to be, analysis all the time, right? So when you follow your heart, where does that road lead next to? It leads next to the Tin Man, who is lacking of a heart. So what we're doing in that intuitive is we've overcome the analytical aspect of trying to decipher everything, because that is the illusion, and now we're moving to find the vessel in which we can put our heart back into, right? So, and then we have to move further down the road, go through a lot of things, and we get into those dark, deep woods and all the rest of it. And of course, the Cowardly Lion comes out, and he comes across as this big, big show of pomp and circumstance. But when he goes after Toto and Dorothy slaps him, he starts to cry. So what that is you cannot feign courage, and you have to find that courage within to keep moving down the road. And there we have our straw man to find the true mind, the right mind, which is the intuitive. So we took that path, and we moved. Now we have to find our heart, where we come into the unconditional love aspect, and then we move on to find the courage to finally get to the Emerald City. And now keep in mind, before they get there, they have to go through the poppy field, which is the symbolic of, putting us to sleep, the dozier ones. And the only thing that could wake Dorothy, Toto, and the lion up, because they were, of the flesh, was the cold, hard truth called snow. And there's your red and white, and that factors in with the Santa Claus trails that I've been mapping. And these signs and symbols are everywhere. As soon as you start to see things for what they really are, and it's just a game, just a ride, then you start having fun with it.
Absolutely.
So we've been having fun, eh, Miranda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just a coincidence. What do you call your dogs?
Poppy and Ruby. And I only realised yesterday how pertinent that was, didn't I?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then again, the name that keeps popping up for me a lot, has most of my life, is the name Gabriel. And it didn't dawn on me until recently. Just got a new dog from Jim's taking care of her right now, and I named her Gabby from Gabrielle. And that's in memory of a dog I got my dad years ago that we couldn't keep, and her name was Gabrielle. So I was bringing the new press scent or pre-scent now of Gabrielle, and part of our trail that we've been going on, of course, is Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. And I was going through the Black's Law Magic book, and of course I go with what resonates, right? And Hugh Jackman, his character in Van Helsing was Gabrielle Van Helsing. And of course, look at his co-star. Just a coincidence that it's Kate Beckinsale. And for those that know what Ka-Ti means, or Ka, Kate, it's how I say it, Ka-Ti, which is Ka, Egyptian for spirit, Ti, note of love. So the spirit of love beckons all. But it's just a coincidence. But once you start seeing things in the green aspect, the green language, then things start to get a whole lot more fun. They start to get a whole lot more clear. And effectively, what's happened to us, excuse me, is we've lost our way on our treasure hunt. And it really is. It's a real treasure hunt to find the keys to the treasure chest. And that's quite literal, where, X St. marks the spot, and a whole myriad of other things. Take it from there for a sec, guys, because I've got some stuff pulled up here, but this is going to get real surreal for you guys real quick. So get your seatbelt on.
Basically, it just turns out that they've hidden the clues everywhere. I was listening to Santos Bonacci's stuff, of course, as you do, and quite a while ago, I think it was Ecclesiastical Law and Sovereignty, and he was explaining about the synchronicities within the Little Red Riding Hood movies, Humpty Dumpty, and some basic poems and he was spelling them out using different terminologies, as in astrotheology, and also referring to the Bible a lot, as how the same things are hidden within the Bible as that are hidden within movies, and the same things that are hidden in the movies are hidden in cartoons, and they're also hidden in everyday life if we start to pay attention to them on a level whereby you can decode them. And it's a series of decoding. I don't know. I think it's a mindset. I wouldn't really know how to describe it. It's like where do you start? The only thing that springs to mind is some more words in the Bible. What is it? Thou cannot drink the milk of the words. In other words, you couldn't get this, and it's no good reading the book because you just can't see it. It's not going to be there, but it's there cryptically, and it's only till you can start breaking the codes that a cryptic or allegory can come out. And the Bible's written the same way, the movies are written the same way, the cartoons are written the same way, the English language is written the same way, the letterings and spellings are written the same way. And once you begin to uncover this allegoric pattern within experience all around us, and all of the above that I've mentioned, and more, incidentally, you can't start to decode it. But it's getting that plumbing close now. More than taste it, you can see it, and you can verify it, and you can double check it. Especially now we've discovered the Black's Law 9, or Kate's discovered, or Kate got delivered the Black's Law 9 edition. But it's the weirdest set of things that you could possibly imagine, but it's making sense. Yeah, and it's cross-referenceable. It's incredible stuff. I don't know if anybody wants to comment there. Miranda or Kate, I would have thought.
I totally agree. I mean, all the threads, we're weaving a huge tapestry now, and it is all coming together, and we've all got different colours and different threads to bring to that. I don't know if you quickly want to... I've got another Earthling one that I did that I can read if you would like, just to get you back on the old... yeah?
Lexigram.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'll do you another one. So, Earthlings are angels. Earthlings are angles. Earthlings are triangles. Earthlings are regal heirs. Earthlings are legal heirs. Earthlings are starlings. Earthlings are light. Earthlings are giants. Earthlings glisten. Earthlings shine. Listen and sing. Listen and sing. Earthlings share this earth. Earthlings share her heart. Heal and align. Heal the earth, heal the hearth, heal the ether, heal the air, heal the ears, heal the heart. Earthlings are stargates. Earthlings' genitals strangle. Earthlings' genitals tingle. She realigns his genitals. He realigns her genitals. Heal and align. Earthlings' genitals. Earthlings share earth. Earthlings share hearts.
Very good. I'm rather inspired. I have a writing. I used to write a lot of, well, not a real lot, but I used to do a bit of poetry, and I have one that captured a theme called Miranda, When Two Worlds Collide. I'll just do an excerpt from it.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
500 lines, so I can't write any. When I write, I just can't stop writing, you know. So I can't, you know, they have these contests for, you know, submitting a poem, and they're like 14 lines. I can't even enter the contest because I have to write like 300 or 500 lines. All right. This is called When Two Worlds Collide. So this is starting at line 179. When two worlds collide, let me try it again. When two worlds, they finally do collide, is it not then meant to happen this way? Tell me about the things that are without any purpose, and I will tell you about the things that are left unsaid, even for today, even for tomorrow, about the things of yesterday as well. And will anyone be watching when these two worlds collide? And if so, will they have any answers left, forth to come? I firmly follow that it is we who have all of these, those necessary answers, and our very own two worlds, create their very own fixed eye. So that now the places that we do see and go to are in our very own hearts, within our very own minds, within our own redeeming qualities, within our own unique postures, within our very own hands, within a far, far away place, which is yet always so very near at hand and deep inside. So we can see those things that are cast aside, where mere shadows will now and always, forever on and on, one day reside. Within those secret places of long ago, where now only we two worlds collide. It is only two people alone then who will feel it happen this way when we two worlds collide, while we can stand in amazement and within a deeper awe as we tremble in these moments, with all of our full emotions and with our reason, with it written in the stars at night beside, questioning all of these sensations for the next eon to come, yet acting upon them with each and every new hidden movement and moment of thought, for we are both silent warriors deep within, and it is because each and every new world has begun this way, for hidden deep inside I know that there is another way to say that these are the things that happen when we two worlds collide. I want nothing more in my departing than to transcend this plane alive, carrying nothing with me but my fulfilled hopes, my fulfilled dreams, my fulfilled love, and to always be walking just one step ahead before all of those who I love, proving out all of those things that are alike and that seem so real, then proving what is not real. For if I am left unfulfilled, then what good am I? And if my life has no purpose or meaning, then certainly I would be like those mere rocks and cracking slags that are strewn all around us, forever on the ground, just outside our door. And the people, they're all just walk right over them, as if never knowing that they are there, nor yet about those treasures and those secret places hidden deep inside. So if you could split the rock apart, just as the wood, you will see into it as I do. For then you will see that it exposes whole new worlds and the pure sunset horizons. It is speaking about the everlasting pearl of greatness and the great unified potential that lies locked and hidden deep inside each and every one of us. So if only we dare to open up, but not everyone has that key. Nonetheless, the many symbiotic keys combined, it is the very energy and voice of the universe unleashed that I behold, the oneness of the black fire, pursuing the everlasting white fire, or is it the other way around, thereby exposing that commonality of ground that we all possess, those seeds of greatness and of wonder, all strewn about by the east wind, that our first fathers so early bore. Although the planets, the moons, and the stars are all so diverse and a kaleidoscope of colored hues, they all still remain of one true origin, and we are one with them too. And with the invisible we are one, but only by definition, and if we know it too. Nonetheless, we all must sing, with a perfect tune then, within each and every unique sound. For the melodies, they are all already written, so that we must then judge as time and our own selves aloud, while washing pure our hands by the casting off of some very heavy stones, while we gather in some lighter, smoother, new and better ones too, including that invisible rock of a star, and the capstone of life, shining way out from beyond the edge of our constant universe delight, our nighttime's granite, far, far away, palatial shore, thus experiencing a transition beyond all closed doors, while leading to all of those passageways unknown and yet unexplored, but soon to be discovered, through one's own mind and one's own body then, forevermore, forevermore. I'm almost done here. The mind, it is a cosmic light, and an open mind, it is a giant window, leading back to the past and up onto the ethereal heights, way far above the black and the white, and deep within too, with the many-colored spirit birds of red, blue, green, and black, leaving trails in the outer spectrums from the outer you, from the in-between, while spinning eastbound to greet the sun, for forever on now, beaming in all directions there is a flaming sword. For this is the time then for what is left undone, as when we two worlds collide. living just as if a world just passed us by, and flew away when two worlds did fly, not as empty ships just standing by, but as some sacred voice that said good boy. How can we even think of another thing when these two worlds collide? For it truly happens only once in at least 1 million lives, as if in some far-off remote island or isolated corner of the world where other former shadows once stood, and where some others, they still abide, with the others that are soon to come. So look beyond and behind and in front of you for what is tried, and you will also find another world beyond, so deep inside. And it goes on.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Again, this is this is our journey, and I do want to get this message out right now. I'm going to be divulging some things in the freedomreigns.us chat room. So if you're not in the chat room, you're not going to get the goodies tonight, because I'm posting stuff that I'm very careful posting anywhere. But I kind of learned something about the hue and cry based on the Hugh Jackman character of Van Helsing. The hue and cry is that when you see a crime, you must yell from the rooftops. It's basically the voice and horn, which was my indicator to say, Kate, let rip. So I said, okay, I'm going to let rip. Now, for those that are joining the chat room, I'm pretty sure you can scroll up. But I assure you, I'm going to be placing things in the chat room on freedomreigns.us that you will want to have. I promise, because if you don't have this information, you won't know what the hell it is I'm talking about, and you won't learn how to find your pre-sent now. And you will not see anything until you are in the pre-sent now, as in that's your forethought. Because everything that we forethought manifests. And that's why it's so critical for people to get off somebody else's canvas and start painting your own. Because until you do, you're going to be a slave. And you're going to be a slave to someone else's manifestations. There's a great song by Styx, The Grand Illusion. There is more truth contained in that song than most people can handle. If you listen to it, they're talking about getting rid of the white canvas, somebody else's canvas. You know, don't listen to the TV, don't listen to the radio, don't even listen to me. What I want you to do is to resonate that which is true to you with certain words that will register and trigger within you that will wake up your inner child. Because until you do that, you are going to be walking in your own tornadoes, and that house will never hit the ground in Oz. You're still floating around it, where that witch of the East, the supposed wicked witch of the East, of course we know East is symbolic for the truths and learning that have been corrupted by the wicked witch aspect, and house got dropped on her. That's truth dropping pretty hardcore. And of course, the shoes that she was wearing were given to Dorothy. And what those shoes represent are the real truths of the mystics, of the mystical aspects of ourself that were placed on Dorothy's feet. And what they are symbolic to me is that she finally put on her footwear, the door of God, Dorotheos, finally put on the shoes of truth and stood in them. And nothing that the Wicked Witch of the West could do, and again, West Publishing, by the way, puts out the Black's Ninth. Just a coincidence, though. Please, ignore that. Sarcasm. And Dorothy had to follow her own phi ratio golden mean spiral at the beginning, where it fanned out to find her Emerald City. And emerald, of course, is the color of love. And that's why next year is, next year's color is emerald. Isn't that funny? What a coincidence. Something else that I was going to refer to, I'm a Gemini, and my 3 stones for Gemini are the pearl, the agate, and the emerald. So my job, because I can see what I'm supposed to do in the ether, is to bring the key for the pearl agates to your Emerald City. And I'm giving it to you if you can find it, if you can see it. But you have to stop your tornadoes, your dramas, your incessant standing around the water cooler bitching about this person and bitching about that, which is actually your mirror. And that's what I find myself caught in sometimes, reflecting back things that are being reflected of me, but I catch myself in it. But even while I'm doing that, I'm questioning myself, what am I learning here? What do I need to learn? What do I need to see about me? Not the individual or the reflection or that other thread that I'm trying to weave with of myself. It always has to come back home. There is no place like home. There is no place like home. There's no place like home. You are home. And until you return there, you're going to be walking around with tornadoes ripping your universe apart, and some flying monkey's going to come and pick up your sorry ass and drop you somewhere. And it's been going on for a long time. So it's time, everyone out there that is Dorothy, the door of God, door of Theos, to get with it and put on your full Toto genrerie. Oh, that's in blacks too. It means bring on your full character, which you can bring back to Peter Pan when he, at the beginning of the movie, was looking for a shadow. And of course, there, who was the main character there? The oldest sister was Wendy. Look up Wend in the Black God. You'll see that it means a large area of land. And ironically, in Gravity Falls, one of the clues that were decoded by some kids was, sorry, Dipper, your Wendy is in another castle. Okay, and once you start to see the absolute beauty of this most intricate game that we've been blinded to for so very long, you'll start having fun. But you got to give up the bullshit. You got to give up the dramas. You got to give up the all of the mundane in terms of things that you thought or think are real, because that's what's keeping you spinning here and dropping houses on you left, right, and center. You got to get out of the straw man, the mindless one. And there's some great quotes there where, you know, some people, as Dorothy said, some people go through their whole lives with a mind and they don't know how to use it. Pay attention. Find your heart, find your courage, get to the Emerald City, and be careful that you don't fall asleep on the way, get distracted. And of course, when you finally do get to the Emerald City, it's all about changing color horses and all this razzle-dazzle and pomp and circumstance. But really, what we have to do is get to the wizard, expose the wizard, and the invisible wizard will make itself known. There is no, there's no gender in my universe. It's neutral. So I can't even refer to anything in terms of mother or father because it's actually both. I often wondered exactly what does a god need with a penis anyway? And they all seem to be broke. What is that all about? Anyway, just thoughts. 4 thoughts.
Well, without disclosing anything, can I just say something? Desert Owl, you sent me a diction, didn't you? And you sent me your name, and I'm not going to say what your name is, but you have Wizard and Oz in it.
Okay.
And that's quite apt, considering what we're talking about tonight.
Right. Well, Wizard, of course, the W supplemented the V, so it's really visor, for seeing, and that's what the wizard is supposed to be able to do is see.
And then owl.
Well, zoo, actually, Oz backwards is zoo. If you know that the 2 O's are always there, even if you only see 1 O. It's Oz is zoo backwards, so that means Toto again, everything, all inclusive. Go to a zoo and you see everything in the world there, right?
Exactly. And Earth is basically a zoo, and it is a stage. And Francis Bacon was right, a.k.a. William Shakespeare. All the world is a stage. And there are, lots of extras here. Generally, they run around in uniforms and stuff. And, there are directors. Speaking of that, hey, listen, there we go. Thank you. See, the universe pays attention. When you start seeing who the players are and when you start really getting into the role that you were meant to be, and it's outlined, you can find it in your zodiac. That's going to be the holy science aspect. You're going to find the most truth about yourself. I found all of it I needed through astrotheology and using the mystical aspects, and finally discovering green language to a level that 2 weeks ago I was fully unconscious compared to right now. And I got to tell you, I was chatting with Miranda earlier, just Skype chatting, and I got to tell you, it's when you start getting to certain levels, I'm just desperate to bring friends here because it's kind of lonely when there's only you and a handful of others that are seeing it. But I got to tell you, the ones that do see it and the conversations that we get into and the things that we uncover, there's a whole lot of laughing going on, eh, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's so funny when you see it. You'll laugh at yourself, and if you don't laugh at yourself, then you're caught up in some dramatic tornado thinking that somehow this matters. Oh, please.
Yeah, it's there's a phrase in that complicated web we weave, but that's actually it. We're weaving the web. We're tangling ourselves. We're tripping ourselves up if we can only see it. And like you said, I know I laughed when I said it, but it is that complicated and that simple at the same time.
Exactly. Well, here, let me take people on a little magic carpet ride. I'm going to show them how they got duped and why they're walking around as fraudulent postal workers on the planet until their BC makes it home to shore, because it never made it to where it needed to. You got a receipt for it, and it's useless. I've already posted this stuff in the chat room. I've got one other thing I'm going to post there. So for those of you in the chat room, you can read along with me, and this will make a whole lot more sense. I did a webinar on this last night, actually, and let me just get that right. Let me get the right chat room up here, and then I'll share this with the room. And you guys ready to have the keys of Oz? Here we go. Okay, clicking. All right, so there's a website there that you can go to, and you'll probably notice something right off the bat. There will be a shield at the top of it. What I want everyone to do is to right-click and try to save that picture and see what you get. And I'll leave that alone for now. But this is how we found this information, and I have to thank Duke and Zoe for bringing some of the final threads to me, where I was able to find even more threads past it. That's how we weave together, guys. I trigger something with Tony triggers something with Santo, and Santo triggers something with Dezert, and and Miranda. Well, we're just sitting back talking about Ruby Two Shoes. But anyway, here it is. When you go to that website, here, what they're trying to tell us how to bring our ships home, and they're helping us. The thing is, when you see the game and you stop fighting it, there are those in this game that are directors that are trying. What happened there? Are we still going?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was weird. Just somebody clicked on a link that didn't mute before they clicked it.
Oh, okay. Woo, cool. Blog Talk Radio indeed. So anyway, they're trying to tell us how to bring our ships home, and they're helping us. How to change a label. Your birth date is your Venta, or your vintage. Italian Venta means win, by the way, which I thought was kind of cool. I love having Italian friends. You know something? I'm Irish, and I got to tell you, the Italians are always the ones I get along with the best. They know how to party. Anyway, Black's Law. Here it is. This is right out of Black's Magic book. Star. History. A Jewish contract, especially for release of an obligation. Interesting. That Richard the First, by the way, a.k.a. Lionheart, declared invalid unless it was placed in a lawful repository. Wonder what that is. The largest being in the King's Exchequer at Westminster. And by the way, for those that need to know, that's on 11 Downing Street. That's just a coincidence that it's 11, though. You know, Twin Towers, Gemini, etc. It goes on to say this. It is well known before the banishment of the Jews under Edward I. And by the way, guys, this has got nothing to do with Jews, okay? This, when they're referring to this, what they're talking about is a certain group of people, okay? And so don't be painting everybody with a roller, okay? Lose the religio cosa's bullshit, or I'll slap you upside the silly head. So here it goes. Pay attention. It is well known before the banishment of the Jews under Edward I, their contracts and obligations were denominated in our ancient records, stara or stars, from a corruption of the Hebrew word shatar, which is a covenant. Now these stars, by ordinance of Richard I, were commanded to be enrolled and deposited into chests under 3 keys in certain places. One, and the most considerable, is the King's Exchequer at Westminster. The room at the Exchequer was probably called the Star Chamber, and when the Jews were expelled from the kingdom, was applied to the use of the King's Council when sitting in their judicial capacity. Now, if you did deposit your long form BC, it wouldn't matter because the goods hadn't been delivered. And if you deliver the goods via the short BC, well, you can't claim it because the Star contract hadn't been made valid by depositing it into a lawful repository. So either way, customs has been avoided. And there's doo-doo coming down the tracks here, guys. Okay? And the other clues that are in there is you might want to watch Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3 for more giveaway. Or what I would even suggest is look for the clues like S&P index in Summerween episode of Gravity Falls, which is the last one. And it's just a coincidence, by the way, that there are 12 episodes. And it's just a coincidence that it started on June 15th, but just as a coincidence as my birthday. So these are my clues, okay? All right? And just a coincidence that, you know, the lead characters are, you know, a twin boy and girl, Cain and Abel. Oh, Mabel is the girl's name, and she has tracks on her teeth, braces. And Dipper, mentioned in that Peter Gabriel song again. What is it? Oh, right, Sledgehammer. are the boy and girl twins. Okay, that's the duality of the male female, and their good friend, kind of a dopey guy, but his name is Zeus. What are the odds? And Great Uncle Stan, by the way, is the guy they go to visit at the Mystery Shack that suddenly loses its S in the intro to become Mystery Hack. So pay attention. There's question marks all over the place here. That's why you got to stop looking at Illuminati stuff that it's evil. Start looking at it for look here, will you, dopey? Once you see it, you'll laugh. Anyway, so there's this really neat little thing here called the Clausula Rebus Sextantibus. And as I pointed out earlier, if you take the letters CRSS, all you got to do is throw one vowel in there, and you got yourself a cross. So here we go. Now, it all matters. It all matters. Now, in public international law, Clausula Rebus Sextantibus, which means things thus standing, is a legal doctrine allowing for treaties to become inapplicable because of a fundamental change of circumstances. Maybe that the government and the crown aren't my parents? That might be a fundamental change of circumstance, yeah? Because that's what they claim. And it started back in Edward I with the surnames and nobility and buying and selling basically people's lives and futures, bloodlines. This is about the bloodlines, guys. They wanted to claim your blood through the family name, and they were able to, over time, drip by drip, put that onto a piece of paper that they stuff your footprints on, taking your landmark, which is your first mark on this planet, on a piece of their paper that was originally just a normal piece of paper, but they changed the label. They put, make it a banknote kind of thing. Another clue there. All right, but here it is. Now, it becomes inapplicable because of a fundamental change of circumstances. It's essentially an escape clause that makes an exception to the general rule of pacta sunt servanda, which means promises must be kept. Well, it's a little hard to keep a promise if you didn't know you made one and someone else is trying to dupe you out of it. Isn't that interesting? Now, because this doctrine poses such a risk to the security of treaties, as its scope is relatively unconfined, it requires strict regulations as to the conditions in which it may be invoked. There's that beautiful spelling word. I'm going to invoke spell. Yes. Now, here's the key to it, though. Just because I found it and a few others have found it doesn't mean to say the whole treaty changes, because that ruins Christmas for everybody. Some people want to walk around and they're enjoying their role. Let them. Who am I to say, it's Christmas morning, open your presents, and you got some kids saying, no, I don't want to open my presents yet. Well, sorry, mine are open. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. Now, the long form is a Jewish contract. That's your star contract. Your star date is your birth date. Okay? Now, again, see Black's Law, star contract, which Richard I said, no contracts will be honored unless deposited in a lawful repository. Now, the long form has date of birth written over either a dotted line or nothing, which means it's private. And this was private information that was never meant to be made public. So what your parents received, and anyone that's had children, what they will receive, is a receipt where they've changed the label from lowercase private to uppercase all caps public. And someone's getting unjust enrichment out of this. And that's not a good thing when you're talking about international law and international treaty, and those that are doing it earn a lot of doo-doo. Because we found the ruse, we found the way through, and we know exactly what's going on. Sorry about your luck, system. You're coming down. Does that sound like fun?
It's not just international, it's universal. There's another bit.
Exactly, because we're dealing with the Universal Postal Union. Here's step 1, 2, 3. Step 1, Railway Act of 1873 that states all companies are subject to a post office. Now, you got to keep in mind, well, that's just an American. No, every law that's created through the Law Society is valid worldwide, every law. Everywhere, because it came through the same society. So 1873, Railway Act, all companies are subject to a post office. They made corporations out of it. Sounds like a company to me, so we must be postal workers. Then, if you go back to 1892, Hawthorne versus Fraser, the ruling was this, that if something is mailed, it is assumed by the regular usages of mankind, of the mail, that the contract that is being offered is already deemed accepted upon sending, not receiving. Okay, so your contract is already deemed made as soon as somebody decides they want to send something to you. Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't sound quite right. Okay, well, that's why you need to sort this little issue out. And as we uncover stuff, a few of us walking the trail ahead, make sure the yellow brick road is clear. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Totally.
What a trail, to say the least.
I hope people are getting it, though.
Well, probably not, but that's nonetheless it's not the problem. The yellow brick road is there. If you just want to replay this and replay this and replay this, you'll get it.
Yeah, we've given the whole way through if you want, but there's other ways to look at it. The first thing you got to do is forget everything you thought you knew was real in this place, because we're in Oz, guys, and it's stunning when you see it.
Yeah, I mean, I could throw in there that everything's holographic, which it is. Again, that's another Matrix nudge, nudge, wink, wink scenario, but it's deep stuff. Do you want to comment on that? Can you following where we're going, Dezert?
Yeah, I have been. But I got distracted on that last point on Skype here. Someone was Skyping me. I'm following, though. I'm listening in.
Comment, Miranda?
Well, in the last few days, I've just realised that I'm the director, the producer, the scriptwriter of my story. You know, and I'm writing what I want now. Now that I've got it.
You're writing your own ending.
I am.
Well, the world is but a stage, and we're but the actors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when you finally see it, you said it so eloquently, and this is where people need to start taking a step back and stop being so dramatic. Okay, you're overacting. Okay, that's all we're suffering from, and that's where the ego comes in, because everyone wants to be a star. But here's the dopey aspect of it: you already are. Now, the way you put it, you are the director, the producer. You are starring in your own perspective, your own thread of this fabric. What you have to do is start working with your co-stars to make one hell of a beautiful production. And once you start weaving these things together, it gets to be a whole lot of fun. And I can't even begin to try to explain what it is that I'm seeing. And I know Miranda and Tony and Zoe and a whole bunch of others. Terry, another friend on Facebook, Derek, boy, did he get it, like right out of the gate. I'm going, oh, look, someone's awake, someone sees the Matrix. And by the way, if you want to go look up Blue Sky Bonds, you might be surprised to find the website is actually called Bond 007. I shit you not.
Yeah.
What else could it be called?
Another movie.
Yeah, it couldn't be called anything else. Again, all the answers are everywhere, and everyone's walking around trying to. I'm just as guilty as everyone else. The problem with being intellectual is that, and this was the balance I had to find of being intellectual is you got that left brain chattering all the time, thinking that you actually know something, and you're that Yale student in Good Will Hunting, regurgitating the facts of other people, and you're not actually living your own canvas, living your own show. And when you start to see that what you manifest for you, what your true desires are, will manifest around you. And my true desire is that those that wish to awake shall awake. And that's why I do what I do every day. And as far as with me concerned, and I'll be really blunt about this with donations and stuff like that. Listen, if you want, great. If you don't, see, the terms that I have now on that is I don't want to take on anybody else's karmic debt, but I will share with those that are awake. Right,
absolutely. And
it's different.
And that being said, I have come across another piece of the puzzle the other day, one that I haven't shared with you yet, Kate, or anybody else. The point is, we had a gentleman on recently, and now I spoke to Dezert about this particular guy. Now, the guy's website is called What on Earth is Happening, and he's just released a presentation. We actually had Mark Passio on the show with us a week or so ago, and we had an awesome show, and Mark's information is absolutely spot on. He's just released a new video that people should definitely go and see. Anybody that's listening to this information has to go and see this video. The video's called the Matrix trilogy decoded, and it breaks down what the Matrix movies, and I say movies, the trilogy, what they're trying to tell you and how they're trying to tell you what we're trying to tell you. But we're telling you one way, the decoding tells you another way. In other words, you couple this information with that information, and you're just getting slapped left, right and centre around the face with the same information, and it will help it sink in to your psyche, which is what it needs to do. We need to change the mind of man, because it's the mind of man that's the problem. It's not man himself, it's our minds, it's the way our minds work. But having said that, it's really complicated, but we've been tricked into this situation whereby we were forced into another situation whereby we had to find the solutions to the problems in order to free everybody from the Matrix. The solutions that we've come to and the points that we've come to is we can't necessarily free everyone from the Matrix. There are a few that will be freed and a few that won't. The question is, which potential timeline do you want to be on? The negative one or the positive one? But let's not even look at the negative one, because when you flip it round, the negative is actually showing you the positive, if only you can see it.
Mirror, mirror.
Exactly.
That's the mirror call, yes.
Yeah, the one and the same are both the same, but I don't expect anybody to get it until you've looked at this information. But there you go.
Again, this really revolves around our ability to play our role and not let other actors in the game try to write our script for us. What we need to do is take full responsibility of ourselves, and the best way to do that is to first thing you got to say to yourself is, I have been absolutely wrong about everything analytical in my entire universe thus far. Reboot. And when you can do that, like Alan from OIM said it so perfectly. He said, and this is why I know he's awake, because what he is saying, and this is absolutely what is real for me. This is on my canvas before he said it. Is this? If I find out tomorrow that everything I'm saying today is absolutely wrong, then I change it because I've learned something. And so many people hold on to the old paradigms of, well, look, prime example, look at the uber religious people that are so stuck in something that was painted on their canvas as a child that they can't even think of letting it go, and they manifest that, as I call it, religiocosis mentality. And there's nothing that you can say to, say you put a Christian and a Muslim in the same room that are, fanatics on both sides, because we do have fanatics everywhere. And can you imagine what's going to ensue, where one is trying to say, Jesus this, and the other one, Muhammad that, and the next thing my God's better than your God, and I'm going to kill you to prove it. Boy, that's sane. But it makes for a hell of a show. But I got to tell you, we're in a script. All the world's a stage. We have the entire universe watching. And Ian Zungold said it beautifully. The universe is tired of watching the war movies. They're tired of watching the same old. And I'll tell you what the universe does love. The universe loves a lion with courage. And when you have courage to stand in your ruby red slippers, or as they were originally with Frank L. Baum's version, the silver slippers, which silver mystically means truth. If you can stand in your truth with absolute courage, then you finally got past the cowardly lion, and you're ready to not only go to Emerald City, but be a part of it. And the universe is your oyster. Would you please just open it? And when you start opening these beautiful channels within you and start seeing the non-coincidentals. I had someone in the, boy, we have a few people in the chat room now, but it had mentioned this Kevin Costner's, thank you, Billy, by the way, Kevin Costner's The Postman work into this at all? Absolutely. Well, obviously it resonated with you, so that is your thread. Go follow it. See what else resonates. And watch this tapestry unfold before you in your script. It's not my script. That's yours. But I want to see how...
It reminded me, the postman always rings twice.
And knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe. If the answer is no. Got it? Pay attention. It's everywhere. Everywhere.
Once you start connecting it, you can't miss it. It's just all over the place.
And it drives you nuts because oh my God, look at that, look at that, look at that. Now you're in your game, and you start laughing at all the other silly actors that are walking around thinking somehow that this is real. Or in the case with me, some days I get very frustrated because they're ruining my play. Now back off, garbage. I want to have some fun here. And that's the free will choice, right? People can have a free will choice to play their role as long as it does not interfere with someone else's role. That's why we have to learn to thread together, because we're all part of that same fabric of space and time in this hologram. Just because the Neo wakes up and pulls all the cables off doesn't mean to say you have to go slap someone upside the head saying, hey, look what I see. And then, hey, you're ruining their Christmas morning. Leave it alone. They're not ready to open their present yet. And how dare you? And that's one of the things that I found people come to me is, well, I've talked to my family and this and that, and all think, well, maybe you shouldn't have then. Look at all the grief you caused yourself. I did the same thing. Guess what I did?
Yep.
Stop doing that.
Exactly.
Things get a whole lot better.
There's no point. If people don't want to wake up, just leave them alone. As it says in the Matrix, we don't wake people up above a certain age because they can't handle it. It's like, and again, like you said before about, if you get a litre jug, right, fill it with water, and you've got a glass, and then you fill that water, you can put that whole litre into that water, or into that glass, but all it's going to do is spill over the sides. You need to empty out what you thought you knew before you can fill it with with some more water. And it's like your mind, you've got to empty out what you thought you knew in order to fill it back up again with something different or something new, or add to it. And the knowledge is the same. It has to flow. It's no good trying to trap it all, because you're not going to get it. You need to detox on knowledge, I suppose you could say, at some point in order to put something new in that paradigm. And paradigm's the right word.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was you, Derek. Yeah, you're just a little too awake in the room, my friend. And seeing as you brought up Stockholm Syndrome, I decided, well, that's about the fourth or fifth time in the last 2 days I've seen that, so I'm going to look up Stockholm Syndrome in the Magic Book and see what I come up with. Isn't it funny? Stockholm? Look at the word. Donated stocks. What do we got here? So it would have to be stock. Now, look, 14th century. The original progenitor of a family. Woo! How about that? That's why they call them stocks, boys and girls. A person from whom a family is descended, or a branch. George Harper Sr. was the stock of the Harper line. So you're all stock of your family line. There's your bloodlines. That's how they trap that. So what they've done is they've taken your family line and put it into stock form because you are a good breeding stock. Yes, remember? Put it all together here.
How many stocks and shares?
Yeah, exactly. Also, it's a merchant's goods that are kept for sale or trade. The capital or principal fund raised by a sale of corporation through subscribers' contributions or the sale of shares, or a proportional part of a corporation's capital represented by the number of equal units. Isn't it funny how it goes from the original progenitor of a family to a proportional part of a corporation's capital? God, it's almost like they were as above, so below, all in one, huh?
Yeah.
It's almost like they wouldn't want us being families.
Well, yeah.
Like they want to break us up. No.
Yeah, or be part of their happy family and in the process pay for all their fun. Are you kidding me? Talk about unruly relatives. Let's kick their asses to the curb. Time for them to pay for the party, boys and girls. And here's the thing: when you go to that page with the link that I put up in the chat room, and you open it up and you try to save that picture, you can only save a part of it. This was a part of the key that I brought to the table, and look what's in there. There's scales of justice, a north-pointing chevron with 13 stars, and a key. And when you save it, well, the scales of justice leave because that's not your job. That's that means the straw man's gone. You don't have to deal with that because that's just silliness. And then the 13 stars all of a sudden becomes 12 stars or dots, and at which point you've been given the all-seeing eye. That's the 13th one, the 13th warrior. And then you have the 12 dots, which are the number of dots that are on my birth certificate, because that's relevant to me in my thread. I'm just trying to share this truth. And right below it, all you can save is the part of the chevron with 12 dots and the key. What more do you need?
You need to point out what it says.
Oh, it also says you are aloha.
Aloha, welcome.
Yeah, you're home.
You're getting it.
Looks like you're on your way. You're on the journey, right? And then when we've broken down, I tell you what, go have a look at the coat of arms. Google this yourself. Google up the coat of arms for the city of Venice, who, by the way, St. Mark is their patron saint, who, by the way, has a winged lion, which looks more like a winged chimera or one of those flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. And don't forget to notice the Santa Claus hat. And then you want to go over to the U.S. Senate logo and have a look at that and tell me what you see. You might even see a candy cane, and you might even see another Santa hat there as well.
Ever heard of a sweetie trail?
Absolutely. Toot sweets, baby.
Yeah, what was that wicked witch in the woods that left a trail of sweets?
Oh, well, yeah, you're going to Hansel and Gretel now.
That's the one.
Yeah, again, there's the twins again, Hansel and Gretel. And I mean, I can break that down for you if you want, you know? And there you go, Billy, you said it. Morpheus to Neo. They are inured by the system. And it goes back to the character that wanted to kill off others and ended up killing Switch, which is one of the characters, and that's the transgendered being, the only one dressed in white, because the only one that was in neutral. Okay, that had to be the first to go. That's the first clue. And, of course, throughout history, the first beings that get slaughtered are beings like me, two-spirits, because we're too dangerous as a clue.
Gog and Magog, ring a bell?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the same story, just told in infinite ways. And the sooner we can get out of our straw man intellectual, move through to find the heart and the intuitive, to pick the right path, and then get the courage to stand and take on the Wicked Witch of the West. And how was she destroyed? She was destroyed with the waters of truth that melted her. And it's just a coincidence that during one of the episodes of Gravity Falls, Dipper decides to photocopy himself, and he was making real living carbon copies of himself. And guess how they were destroyed? With water. Truth again. And I got to tell you, for those that want to check this out, just go to YouTube and look for Gravity Falls. And the only episode you can see all of is Summerween, which is part 1 through 6. And tell me if you can find the carbon copy. Tell me if you can find the S&P index. Tell me if you can find the blood. Tell me if you can find the tombstone and the baby. Tell me if you can find the Wendy or the Wend, the land. Tell me if you can find... It's all there, guys. Do you want me to go through... Here, tell you what. I'm going to go through the clues that I've decoded so far. And I haven't even... I'm just laughing at this. I haven't got around to finishing it yet, but here it is. Gravity Falls decoding work. I have it on my desktop here. It's so funny. By the way, some kids discovered that when you play the intro backwards, there's a hidden message, and it says 3 letters back and A for Z, or A to Z, like change A to Z. It's American, so I have to say Z, right? But anyway, what these kids have done effectively is they've taken these codes that are at the end of each episode, and they translated them using this clue. So here's a bunch of kids that have decoded all these episodes, but here's the magic. I have eyes to decode the decoded messages. Who says you can't learn from a kid? Are you kidding me? I'm just waiting for it to load up, guys, and I'm going to melt your heads off here. This, by the way, this show is a keeper. All you have to do is listen to it a few times, and you'll see your own Oz, I promise. And as soon as we let go, as soon as we just let go of all the nonsense and all the tornadoes, and I've been saying this for a long time, I just didn't know why, but now I do, why it's so important. As soon as you can get your head out of the tornado long enough to see what's going on, you kind of go, wow, Oz is pretty cool. You know, so anyway, here's the clues. Episode 1 decoded was, Stan is not what he seems. Oh, first reaction was Clausula Rebus Sextantibus. Santa Claus 2 is in there, right? And that's the treaty escape clause. But I wanted to go one step further. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to look up St. Stanislaus, because that's what resonated as soon as I saw that, Stanislaus. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Now, St. Stanislaus was fabled to have been able to raise the dead, a guy that was dead in the grave for 3 years. His name was Piotr, or Peter. Right? There's that Peter at Pearly Gates, Emerald City thing again, to speak at a trial involving land that was sold to him by this dead individual, and the kids claimed that he hadn't, and he literally went and dug the body up. I mean, this is how the story goes, and brought the guy back to life and brought him to court to testify that, yes, in fact, he had sold the land to the bishop, Stanislaus at the time. And what that is symbolic for even once you resurrect your dead entity, of course you get your Wendy back, your Wend. All right, so number 2, episode 2. Let's keep going here. I'll just give you them, and I'll give you the key ones that really factored for me. I haven't decoded these, but I can look at them and know what they're saying. Welcome to Gravity Falls. Next week, return to Bud Island. Kind of nonsensical for most, not for me. Episode 3, he's still in the vents. Got to be something to do with money, huh? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, episode 4, Carla, why won't you call me? And I'll be hunting that one down. But here's the one that really clicked with me, and Tony and I were on a phone call when we clicked on the whole Venice thing. Well, actually, Tony did. What the hell did I say that triggered that with you? Do you remember?
Yeah, you said they'd got lost at sea and it was transit, and I was thinking, it just popped into my head. It was like, it's in Venice.
Oh, that's Venice. And I said, yeah, that's it. So we got to call. My feeling was it was down under in Oz, right? And I couldn't figure out why I was resonating with that, because my thread was saying that's where it was, but it was, because we had to go down under to find none other than Santo Baracci, who is, Italians no less. And we brought him into the call, and he said, yeah, everything, all the insurance policies in the world have to go through Venice. The Orsinis and the Medicis and all the rest of it. And it only made sense. Now we're dealing with the Blue Sky bonds, which are what your birth certificates are actually traded under. Okay? Blue Sky Sureties, which again is the Bond 007 website. Oh, just a coincidence. But then there's another reference to what Venice is called, and I thought, isn't this interesting? Episode 5 was Onwards Aoshima. And I thought, well, that sounds like Japanese, but as, just a coincidence that Santo just happens to be married to a Japanese girl. Just a coincidence. So I said, Santo, why don't you ask your lovely lady there what Aoshima translates into? And this wasn't a confirm in the now at all with us, was it, Tony? So she comes over and says, oh, it means Blue Island. And that's what they call Venice. Oh, but it's just a coincidence, right? And then I went to episode 6, which is Mr. Caesarean will be out next week. Mr. Atbash will substitute. So I looked up Mr. Caesarean or Caesarean and Atbash, because those are the words that stood out for me. And what I got from it was this: kidnapping by Caesarean and Atbar are in the ninth. So what it means is we were kidnapped, removed from one jurisdiction to another at birth, and that someone else will take care of business for us. It's not our job. And they go back to the symbol that you can't, when you save the picture, it removes the all-seeing eye, which you get, and it removes the scales of justice, because it's not your job. And then, of course, there's Paper Jam Dipper in episode 7. There's another word I still have to decode, but there's the Big Dipper. You can have a Big Dipper going up and down and around the bend. You can be bumper cars bumping. This amusement never ends, right? Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. Oh, by the way, opening line. You can have a steam train if you just lay down your tracks. Yep. I don't know, races on Mabel, birth certificate. Oh yeah, that's right. And you could have an aeroplane flying if you bring your what back, Tony?
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. That's right. Very good. And episode 8, E pluribus tremble, which is kind of funny. Episode 9 is not H.G. Wells approved, and of course that was the one based on time travel, and the Dipper had messed around with the time continuum and screwed everything up, which is what they've done. Yep. And then episode 10, I love this one. Sorry, Dipper, but your Wendy is in another castle, which means your land is in another castle. All right? Episode 11, the one that resonated the most with me, was The Invisible Wizard is Watching. And episode 12, the Summerween episode that has everything in it that you need to, including the S&P index references, brought to you by Homework, the candy. Now, if you look at that website that I posted in the chat room, you'll notice that if you scroll down, you'll see 2 pictures, and then the one on the right looks an awful lot like, a candy cane. Isn't that cool? And of course it's like a candy cane because, now here's what resonated with my thread. When I was a little kid, I remember talking to my dad about barbershop poles, and he told me, he says, "Well, you know what the barbershop pole is with the red, the red and white, is what that denotes is that back in the day when there weren't hospitals or whatever, you could go to a barbershop that had that because they had the tools to operate with, but more importantly, they had chloroform to put you to sleep. So it's time to wake up." Now, I want Miranda to jump on this because you had some really cool comments yesterday about this.
Oh, I've got to remember now.
Oh, the candy stripers?
Oh, yeah. The old uniform of nurses was white with the red stripe. Chemists as well. When I was abroad, I think it was in Austria, I noticed that chemists have a red stripe going through them. So obviously, you can still get stuff to make you go to sleep in there. And funnily, I've just been looking up actually Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and you know in that, do you remember the whistle?
Oh, Toot Sweet,
yeah, Toot Sweet, truly scrumptious, and again, it's that like seaside rock.
Yeah, like Salt Rock, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, the whole story is about the kids were kidnapped. There was the kidnapper that would come in with his net at the end of the movie, and that's when most people don't know that Benny Hill was in that movie. He was the toy maker, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, at the very end, they kept their children hidden because they didn't want them to be stolen by the kidnapper. And that, again, is what they have done to us. They have literally stole us at birth. And if you look at the kidnapper, he looks an awful lot like the witch of the West, right?
Yeah.
But again, and by the way, guys, we're getting all this information from movies and cartoons. I can't look at a cartoon straight anymore because it's like, oh my God, could they make it more obvious? Because once you have the eyes to see this, once you can let go of everything you thought was real, because it ain't, you'll be fine.
Yeah. There's another aspect of that as well with the Tom and Jerry Daffy Duck, where Daffy Duck handed Bugs Bunny or somebody, or Porky Pig or whatever, a box. And as soon as Porky Pig opened the box, Daffy Duck popped up out of the box and slapped him around the face a few times and popped back in. And that scenario, I've come across that a couple of days ago about interdimensionality. And for those of that remember, a couple of shows ago we had Stephen Kelly on board, who was talking about beam ships and interdimensional portals within the beam ships, whereby they go into a small area and it opens out into a huge galley or a holodeck or something like this. Again, this stuff is crazy beyond crazies, but it makes sense when you look at it all in its respective bits, so to speak.
Yeah, and like you go back to the Harry Potter, the last movies they had, when they had that tent that they put up, that was only this small little tent, but as soon as you went into it, it was like a mansion with multiple rooms and light and everything. It was, and that's what we're talking about, because guys, you're God, okay, and someone has convinced you otherwise, and the only way that you're staying convinced otherwise is by letting others paint your canvas for you, and you are living the fantasy of someone else. Another perspective that, kind of got the keys to Oz and it has you spinning in tornado after tornado. So I would just suggest that you maybe stop doing that. Just a suggestion.
I think the biggest one is that people get rid of your televisions. I mean, this is what keeps you so closed up. And of course, every time you turn it on, you go back to sleep. You go back, and then you forget what you've learned. It's so important. I even notice this with the signs now when I go out in the car. Everything you come across is another way of trying to shut you up. Be quiet. Don't be awake. Don't look. Don't listen. And I've noticed also you'll always hear police sirens all the time. Where I live, they're going off constantly. Well, I know they're not arresting people and there's not masses of crime. They're just sending out that little bugle call just to remind you you're being watched. Behave yourselves.
It's like church
Don't be bad.
Like church
exactly.
Or mosques.
Yeah, and the thing that people need to get is the only thing that can control you is your own fear. You are an infinite God. What the hell do you have to be afraid of?
Yeah, absolutely.
And seriously, the only way that you can be controlled, of course, if you want to have a game as a God, you have to make yourself like really weak. Okay? And what's happened is this game kind of got carried away with some that, part of our perspective and aspect saw where it could control other parts, and there's a powerful God that can control other parts of itself. And, you got to lose the fear. You really do. It's, the thing is, you can't be harmed. Once you get to a certain level, and this is the realization that you will have, once you get there and you decide that that's not in your universe, that you don't want that, and we'll be tied to anyone that tries to plant shit on my canvas, I swing right back with a baseball bat. No, you can keep your garbage, thanks. That's not in my universe. But you're right, Miranda. The whole siren thing. They're just again, they're so weak. All they have is your fear, and they feed on it, and they get you running and thinking that somehow it matters instead of just laughing at it for what it is. Because if you want to destroy fear, all you got to do is laugh at it.
Mm.
It doesn't stay in your face too long once you do.
Yep, absolutely. Someone else I want to point out as well, traffic lights are the same. There's architecture built into the churches that are the similar sorts of mind control, the shape of stop signs, the shape of symbols, the shape of shields. Again, it's all sacred geometry, and it's all woven in there for a reason. The rabbis with a square on their forehead, the Christians with a cross, which is actually a square but unfolded. The astrotheological aspects of can't think of what they are. The mosques, where they've got a half moon on top of the mosque. It's astrotheology. Again, everything's linked to everything else. It's just a case of, can you see it? Everything from petrol signs, it's everywhere.
Well, that's it. I mean, and the thing is, only until and when you finally get your eyes open to going, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. What's going on here? When you finally start to question it and put a smile on your sorry face, you'll get it, And the thing is, when people feel the need to feed off others, it's because they've lost how to paint their own canvas. And one of the things that, here's where I'm bored, because I have my own canvas, and I'm painting on it, and this is mine, and if there's ideas that resonate and trigger in your original universe, great. But if you're going to take it from my canvas and put it on yours and claim it as yours, you're a slave. And nothing drives me baddier than that. Not only where people would be exercising their ability to be an even bigger slave, but to feel that they can feed or steal that energy from someone else and try to claim it as themselves. All they're doing is making themselves a bigger slave, and that's one of the reasons why I have such a hard time every day. It's getting harder and harder to talk about this. And the day is coming soon where I will be silent because I'll have better things to do. My universe is changing, and it's beautiful from what I can see. And
I think you're going to fly off to another dimension myself, but
that's kind of where I'm at. And again, it's that twinkling of an eye. And here's the thing, guys. And when these kind of things do come down, you won't notice it because it will be as if that entity never was here. The whole script gets rewritten on the fly.
Yay.
Matrix Reloaded.
Exactly. And that's where we're headed. We're headed for Matrix Reloaded. Some of you guys are going to be hanging around playing this game for another 25 or 26,000 years or whatever the hell this cycle is. And some of us are going, we're heading home to our Emerald Cities. That's where my heart is. My heart is home. And I have the courage to walk there. I know that. I've been through the mill. I'm not bitching one bit because all that did to me was prove that I had the ability to do it. That I had the ability to stand in my silver slippers and finally learn to be at peace with it, within and without. And until you get there, if there is any question on it at all, sorry, you lose. This is a very pure game, and I'm still working at it. But I know the objective, and the objective is to get to full, beautiful, neutral peace within, and to just be the observer, to be the secret Santa, if you will. And it's not about what you can get, it's about what you can give, right? And again, we get caught in this paradigm of survival, basically, and there's many of us that have been through the mill, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like talking about it at all, because it's counterproductive to a God-creator mentality. Have abundance? Not at all. No, I don't cut it in half. No, be abundance. And what do we need to talk about bees for, Miranda?
Oh, well, bees. Oh, I think they're we know they're the answer to everything. I mean, without them, we wouldn't exist. I think there's big secrets in bees and honeys and hives and queens, and we haven't even scratched the surface of that one yet. That needs a bit of research, I think.
Yeah, I look back throughout my thread and timeline, and it factors in heavily with the people I've been involved in my life. And knowing, well, you can go back to Robert Moynihan's work, and he talks about the original creation of the Draconians, which basically came out of bees. I look at bees as being interdimensional. It's one of the reasons why I resonate so highly with dragonflies.
Mm-hmm.
I love dragonflies.
Yeah.
Interesting word, that, because if you actually do some studying into the bee, you'll find that the bee's body is too heavy to fly. And you'll also find that the wings aren't big enough to support the weight of the body. And you'll also find that the resonant cavity within the bee's actual body generates an anti-gravity field which allows the bee to fly.
But do you know what else I think it is? I think it's their buzz.
That's
they're
what I'm talking
intoning.
about.
Yeah, oh yeah, because they're intoning.
It creates a resonant frequency which creates a basically its own little atmosphere around the bee and allows it to fly. And a honeybee specifically, or a bumblebee. That's
but it's not really
example.
flying, it's levitating, isn't it?
Well, yes, that's the point. It just appears to be flying.
Yeah, the wings for me are just directionals. The bee goes anti-grav, and just like a zeppelin that is lighter than air, has the engines to direct it and push it around. Whereas all the work of lifting it off the ground is already factored in with anti-grav. And for anyone who thinks that this place is real in its limited fashion, you need to give your head a shake. Wow, creators, guys, for God, why would you limit yourself to such a mundane thought? Unless, of course, you're really enjoying the ride and you like the furrows of worry and the big house and the big piles of debt. I think they call it cash. Then knock yourself out. I do not want anyone else's debt or obligation. You see, there's a big difference in how I approach things in that regard, and it must be absolute benevolence, because one of the things that I've discovered over the many years, and finally had it, I was able to get the dispelling of it through friends I met last weekend, where the true intention finally shone through in the same way that you would get a 5-year-old a Christmas present and not expect anything in return except the joy that it gives you, and that's returned exponentially. So, I mean, it's a very difficult concept for me to share, and it's a very personal one. But one of the things that I've noticed over the years is most of the people that have quote, helped out, unquote, with me had a string attached to it. That somehow it's like giving the 5-year-old a Christmas present, and then sometime down the road saying, well, I gave you that present, so you have to do this. That's conditional. And I've been very fortunate of late to experience a couple of very unconditional things that I got to tell you, it's been a very, very long walk to see that. And that is the truth. And I got to witness it finally. And I had to see it in my own mirror, you see. That's why I've had such a hard time accepting anything from anyone. Because every time, and this goes back to when I was a very, very young child, any time there was an acceptance of something, it was an obligation. Of somehow later, I owed that individual something, and it came up. And here's one of the things with me, and everything that I've ever done, is I always make sure that I overcompensate when I'm anywhere, and I've been doing that. And every time that something has come up after the fact, it always got thrown back in my face, and then I just go, well, sorry, what did you give? Didn't I overpay you? And then they think about it. Well, yeah, but that's the whole trap of, people getting caught up in this. Well, I need this and I need that, and of course, then there's an obligation attached to it, and that's a debt. I cannot accept that anymore. I cannot. Pure unconditional love, yeah. And if it doesn't show up, then I haven't earned it, and I'll die with that, no problem. If that's the lesson I need to learn of unconditional, I'm good with that. I'm like right on board with that, because I can see it, and I know it. I know I got to see it, and that's when everything finally for the first time in my life, I had an opportunity, and I have to say thanks to Terry and everybody for showing me this most beautiful lesson. It wasn't a lesson, it was a proof, finally. It was a proof. Because this was a lesson I was trying to see. And what occurred was an unconditional aspect that there was no obligation or debt attached to it. And that was something to experience.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I believe, Tony, you and Santo and Peter,
yep.
Where's that?
Exactly.
Tony, I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for 1 second.
That was their choice, and okay, call it guilty by default, but that was their choice, and that is what I call unconditional, in that the gift was already received, and there was no obligation attached to it at all, and that is a most beautiful lesson that I had the opportunity to learn, and see, and witness, and be a part of, and finally come full circle on it, where that mirror finally reflected back that which I am, and it was beautiful. It is beautiful.
Yeah. And, deep thanks from the bottom of all our hearts, Santo, as well. I know I can speak for him on this one, as well as myself. It was awesome to finally see something coming back.
Yeah, well, speaking of, we had a great chat that night with Santo, and what was beautiful was one at the party there was actually having a birthday, and who other than Santo Bonacci to do your astrology reading on your birthday? Who else would you want?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it was beautiful. It was, and for me that was when I know of the people I get to associate with, you and Miranda and Dezert and Santo and Peter and everybody, I still pinch myself every day thinking, how the hell did I get here? What the hell am I doing this? This was the last thing I expected to be doing in my life. And then being able to sit at a table with a group of people and say, hey, listen, I'm going to give Santo a call. And, then I sit and listen for the next, 45 minutes while Terry and Mary, both Italian, are sitting talking with Santo in his most beautiful Italian voice. Just going back and forth, it was something to behold, and it was a kitchen Kaylee for me. It was music, and I just got this, for me that was something that I don't have a lot other than what I do to offer, call it whatever you want. But what I can do is create beautiful experiences based on the experiences that I've had, and able to share with those, especially the stature of someone like you or Santo or whatever. I am still the servant of servants, and I'm good with that. I'm not leaving that role. I really dig that one. That resonates.
Yeah, absolutely stunned. Just
no words. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. There are no words. When people finally come to terms with that inner child and can look in their own mirror, I've spent a lifetime giving. That's all I've done. And for whatever reason, it's just so beautiful to see its mirror finally, where I will not ever again accept a debt or an obligation from anyone. Mm-hmm. It must be unconditional. And that I think is the rarest thing to find. And I found it. I found my own key, my own treasure chest. It was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether she wants me to say anything, but Terry's just messaged me, said Santa came early for you this year, folks. I apologise to Terry if she didn't want me to say that, but I feel obligated. So she sends her thanks.
Oh, we love you, Terry. We love you, Mary, Anna, Cameron, Pat, Gabe, and Randy. Oh, and flowing lots of love for Randy right now, and it's all good, baby. It's all good. I already know. Anyway, so jump in. We got like 25 minutes, guys. I know I've been talking too much, but I just want to make sure that people start to see the odds in the wonderland that we're living in. And once you do, it's fun. It really is fun. This is how we're changing our universe into a wonderland.
Not a fear porn factory. Exactly. Dezert, you've been quiet there, mate. What have you got any opinions on things?
Well, I've just enjoyed being a fly on the wall here and listening in because I've done my share of talking in my day, so it's just nice to hang out. You know, like I said, I haven't been broadcasting since March, nor have I. You know, the hardest thing actually has been to get an interview out there. It's I don't know what it is with some of these radio hosts because I've been emailing quite a few of them, you know, and I just don't know what they want to talk about because I've got you know 20 years experience within the political, as a political activist, a decade of that, and then I've got experience being fried and fricasseed and turned over and boiled and you know thrown out in the trash, and the miracle is that they really couldn't do it to me, you know, and so you know, imagine somebody who was being fried and fricasseed by the Klan, the Masons, and MK Ultra, all rolled into one. Not to mention the ancient river pirates on the Ohio River. They go way back, and that whole clique. I should include mafia families, and I ended up with the record for the longest case in West Virginia's history, and at the second trial I walked out the front door, but I never helped the attorneys out or anything. I just meditated and prayed and put it up in the hands of the Great One, you know, because I knew it was bigger than me, but I knew I had them in my one Supreme Court, and that I knew who I was, and that I was innocent, and that they had initiated the crimes through a sting operation. So, you know, and after all that happened, I was just amazed that nobody, you know, even ever really interviewed me for the story or the experience, you know, on how to tough it out and the mistakes I made and the things I did right. But fortunately, you know, my connection with the Heavenly Father, and also with having done, you know, a number of years of interviews of people who were victims and their experiences in the law, studying the law also helped me. So, you know, I've got quite a bit behind me, and I'm certainly looking forward to the future. And I don't know how much or where we're going here. It's going to be interesting to reach a 0 point at 12/12/21. You know, that's rather interesting that we're going to be completing a cycle in the cosmic galaxy, the 26,000-year cycle. Then we're at the 0 point within the dark rift. You know, we're 8 years into it, and at the 0 point, and then 8 years out of it. And at the same time, what was the other thing I was thinking of today? The December 21st is the shortest day of the year. You know, and so you've got all. You know, it's like the clock has just reached the final rewind point. So it's rather interesting to be there at this period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Tony, I do have a poem I want to share. I read it earlier, and very poignant. I read it the other day, and I think this is something that everyone needs to really get their head around, and this will help with everyone's mirror and get you back into you, the most beautiful essence and being in the universe that has been sold a bill of goods that has you thinking you're a meat stick. Because once you find you, and here's the thing, if I ever sound like I'm bitching at you, it's because I'm looking at you and I'm tired of dealing with the crap that has painted over top of the most beautiful canvas in the universe. You know why I know that? Because, well, you're me. You know, that's what it really boils down to. And of course I'm going to get mad when I have a bad hair day. I'm not happy. Okay, so I want everyone to stop having bad hair days for me. Thanks. I got enough of my own. A couple of things. I'm going to read this before I do the poem. Very. A thought that hit me the other day, and for people out there that haven't experienced life, have a listen. Those that have never experienced life in its myriad of forms and claim to have knowledge are either slaves or fools. It's akin to the fool who talks about other events in the world based on what the TV says, having never left the couch. Now, it's true a potato may have many eyes, but the couch variety is blind and usually a slave to the knowledge of another. Wisdom is earned and learned through feeling from another perspective. one of service to others. What one is willing to do and give up for another is the measure of wisdom, where the vast majority sit and wait for pearls of wisdom that they'll never see, let alone comprehend. Imagine that. Isn't that something? Yeah. Here it is. The poem is called Remember. It's actually titled Living and Giving, but it's got a duality to it because I'll share the story as far as I know it. I just want to make sure I got it right. Terry, you'll correct me if I get this wrong, but Terry received this poem one day when she was 14, 3 years after her father had passed away, and there was a knock at the door, and when she went there was no one there, but there was an envelope on the floor that had Remember written on it, and contained inside this envelope was a poem. And the other day she was going on the computer and came across this poem that she recognized. She didn't know why she recognized it, but she'd been carrying this poem for Terry, you're 25, 26 years old. You've been carrying it for a few months, okay? Anyway, so here it is. It was in my Facebook. By the way, if you want to get on my Facebook, please tag me, kate.rene.5. That's KATE.RENE.5. That's where I stay in the now with everyone. It's a lot faster than that slowpoke email thing that I don't use much anymore. I hate it. Anyway, this is a poem received from a friend. Thank you, Terry. The levels and coincidentals involved are staggering in its from then to now trail. So enjoy this and see how well it resonates with you. So I gave it the title, Remember, Living and Giving. Whatever you give away today, or think, or say, or do, will multiply about tenfold and then return to you. It may not come immediately, nor from the obvious source, but the law applies unfailingly through some invisible source. Whatever you feel about another, be it love or hate or passion, will surely bounce right back to you in some clear or secret fashion. If you speak about some person a word of praise or two, soon tens of other people will speak kind words of you. Our thoughts are broadcasts of the soul, not secrets of the brain. Kind ones bring us happiness, petty ones untold pain. Giving works as surely as reflections in a mirror. If hate you send, hate you'll get back, but loving brings you nearer, or brings love nearer, rather. Remember as you start this day and duty crowds your mind, that kindness comes so quickly back to those who first are kind. Let that thought and this one direct us through each day. The only things we ever keep are the things we give away. Author anonymous. But I'd like to thank Terry's dad for sending that along to her 3 years after the fact. So, and don't ever think that that the invisible wizard isn't watching, because you are the invisible wizard watching. You're protecting your own game. How about you lose the fear, get in gear, and let's have some fun. I am sick and tired of this stupid illusion around us creating so much, animosity and it's time to play, kids. Let's get rid of the nasty kids in the playground. Give them a little bit of detention and let them sit in the corner and think about it for a while. And of course, they're always welcome, always. But you know what? Don't come into the playground with baseball bats swinging, because that's not how. Well, that's not my child. That's not how I play. So I would just maybe put that out there for people to ponder on and lose the fear porn and start to live again. Stop planning and start dreaming. That's my new motto. Stop planning, start dreaming. Present the now. All right? Works for me.
What you just read was it reminds me very much of a whole bit Linda Goodman says about money and our attitude towards it. And even if you have very little, you should always give whatever you've got left, half of it away, and it'll come back tenfold. And the power that money has, and that's why rich people get much richer, because even though it's not intentionally in a good way paying tax or giving to charities, because it's a payoff, but the fact that it's going out brings it in. And I've noticed recently when I have the attitude of I've got more than I possibly could need, I actually do. Whereas I always used to think, oh, I'm bloody skint, I've got no money. I don't do that anymore. I just keep saying I've got more than I need, and I do. It's fantastic. It really works.
Yeah. And therein lies the perfect irony, because everyone gets so caught up in the game of, you know, take, and they forget that. I mean, really, what do you need? And you're right, Miranda. I might not have everything I want, but I certainly have everything I need.
Absolutely.
I guess that was my lesson to learn in, you know, so many ways. When I look back, I mean, I got to tell you, there are a lot of things that I'd rather be doing right now than in the position I'm in. But I wouldn't trade a thing in the world for this, because of what it has, the gift of light and truth that it has given me. And that's all we're trying to do, guys, is just share that. And you know, and Dezert, you don't have to say a word. What I'm going to say for you right now. Dezert has an amazing dictionary. It's a work of art. You can toss out your webpage. It's all we need to know. You don't need to know anything else about it, but he's got a beautiful book. Donations, gifts, actually. Donations, no, I'm not into, but gifts for this beautiful gift that he has created would be appreciated. And I got to tell you, it is well worth having. I'm very fortunate to have a copy of it, and greatly appreciate it. So where can they, go and see the book there, Dezert?
Yeah, they can see a sample on my radio museum. They can go to therealpublicradio.net. They always have to put the word "the" in front. Therealpublicradio.net. At the bottom it says free sample, or on the bottom right, or click on the urgent tab on the top left, and they'll see some of the transliterations. I'm doing samples of the translation work in the Lost Writings and the Ancient Scriptures. And also, if they want to get the full copy right after the program, they can get a copy, any size donation. Okay.
Okay, and there will be no denomination placed on this. Okay, I don't want you to limit yourself. You keep doing that. So the gift is the gift, and leave it at that.
Well, that's what donation implies. It's a gift.
Yeah.
And
right.
So I'll get it right out to you, and I really appreciate it. Also, if anybody out there is suffering with any type of physical challenge, whether it's a skin condition or a skeletal, okay, we've got a miracle product that really will help. And just go to this website, check it out. Then you can reach me through the contact page at therealpublicradio.net. Just go to number 1. That's a unit or digit 1. 1 capital CAPITAL 1 capital solution.com. 1 capital solution.com. Okay, and check out the photo gallery and the pictures. And it's the future is here right now. Okay, it's nutraceutical. Just check it out. And thanks for that, Kate.
Oh, hey, thank you. The reason why I say that, my friend, is we have to stop denominating. See the word? Denominating ourselves. Sorry, my friend, I will elect you as God of you. Fair?
Okay. Right.
All right.
Well, there's anyway, there's more meaning to a word than meets the eye sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and the ears. I'm just here to be a bitch about it, though. But, no, as always, and we're going to get you on, I'll pull you in when I can, my friend, because it's always a treat talking with you. And
appreciate it.
And same with Miranda and Tony. You know, here's the thing. We've got such beautiful people. This is where Tony and I are blessed. We've got such beautiful people around us to call on the resources of their beautiful threads that can interweave with us. And you know, pardon me most times, because I just get so excited knowing that I'm hanging out with kids that I can weave with, and I get carried away, and it's awesome. And I have to thank you for that, because that, for me, is the true gift. You know, I love to play. And
me too.
Yeah, and, you know, it's fun. And by the way, Miranda, you, me, and don't worry, when we get the teleportation thing worked out and all the rest of it, I got a bunch of girlfriends here. We're going out dancing.
Yay.
But we have to get new shoes.
Yeah, red shoes. Or shall we get silver?
Or silver. Either or, it doesn't matter. It's all good. I know a few chicks right now that are just itching to go out and party. So yeah, it's going to be a girls' night out, and look out.
And we're not kidding. we're not kidding on the teleportation thing, nor what we've talked about tonight. Everything, honestly, this world is more amazing than you can possibly imagine at the moment. All you got to do is look.
Stop planning, start dreaming. What kind of world do you want? You know,
create the one you want. Create the one you want.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna basically sign off here with. You can get to my stuff at loveovermind.wordpress.com, and it's also available. The site is up and running. Yes, Tony.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Synchronicity.com. That's not synchronicity. It's synchro with an E. We just replace the O with an E, and you're fine. Synchronicity.com, and beautiful website that Tony's part of. Me. Santo, Peter, it's basically going to be a center, and definitely Dezert will have to get you hooked up, and it's time to bring everyone home, where we got the one-stop truth shop, and
yeah,
it's the world's oyster.
Can I just say something quickly?
You'll have to be quick. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, Linda Goodman, Star Signs, or any of her books, absolute gem. And my website is www.wakeydejavu.co.uk. Yay!
Excellent.
How do you spell Wakey, Miranda?
Wakey, Wakey, dejavu.co.uk.
Awesome. And what can we find on there, Miranda?
Stuff I like.
Okay.
So things that it's all about being creative, remembering what we're here to do, lots of good links, building cob, being productive. There's quotes on there, there's a bit on lexigrams, there's all sorts of things.
You've got some artwork on there as well, haven't you?
I think my artwork's on my Facebook.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. Well, I'll let Kate finish us off for tonight, because she's so good at this stuff, and I tell you, I'm a complete amateur. I've got to be honest, but I'm trying. Again, if people want to start their way towards the rabbit hole, I wrote a book, which is why we've got this show entitled Cosmic Blueprints. The book, Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, it's free to download. It's interactive, so you haven't got to read loads of stuff, but it will start guiding you towards the rabbit hole. You'll learn about all sorts of stuff. It was a bit of a frightening journey when I wrote the book. I've now come straight out of that end, right round to the other way of doing it. If I wrote the book again, I'd write it with a different flavour, but I can't, just redo everything in 2 seconds flat. The point is, the book's freely available at awakeconsciousawareness.com, and that's posted under the website, under comments here. And it's freely downloadable. Please just sign up for it, and we'll send you a copy. Prepare to hold on tight, because it's a roller coaster, and there are a few big dippers in there, so prepare yourself. But having said that, thanks to everybody for listening to the show tonight. Thanks to the guests. Thanks to Deirdre, Freedom Reigns, etc. And Kate, if you would be so kind, I'll hand over the reins to you.
Yeah, no problem. Good timing. I got just as I was finishing up there, I got zapped on Skype. Everything went dead. So anyway, we got 2 minutes left here. Again, I want to thank Desert Owl and Miranda for coming on the show to give a beautiful ethereal energy to what we're trying to bring across here. We are not in Kansas anymore, kids. It's time to treat this like the land of Oz that it is. And it is most beautiful when you start to see how magical it is and what was actually hidden from us. And now I know now why so few will find this. The only time you will find it is when you finally let go of all the tornadoes and all the dramas. I hate when it does that. Anyway, all the dramas that we get embroiled in, where they really have no consequence in the grand scheme, and are just detracting you and distracting you from your yellow brick road. Emerald City is just down the road a little bit if you can dare to see it, and I know you can. I know you want to. Well, some of you may not, but that's entirely up to you. So final words, Desert and Miranda?
Love and light to everyone. and stay wakey.
I'll ditto that.
Perfect. Okay, that is the perfect answer. So thanks again, everyone, for listening to Cosmic Blueprints here on freedomreigns.us Blog Talk Radio. Always a pleasure to have you. Don't forget, Sunday night we have Santa Bonacci, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard with Syncretism. Yours truly will probably be piping in, as well as Tony and whoever else knows who's going to show up. So much love to everyone. Don't forget you can contact us very easily. All you have to do is get to the chat room on freedomreigns.us or, look us up on Facebook. We're all there. Anyway, we love you. Stop planning, start dreaming, and we'll catch you guys on the side and talk to you on Sunday night. Again, Dezert and Miranda, Tony, thank you so much. Much love to all.
Cheers, guys. See you in Oz.
Good night.
Night.
Canada. Hello.
There you are, Tony. I was waiting for you.
I thought you were. You're pushing the buttons again, aren't you?
Yeah, well, hey, it's your show. Get on it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness show, with myself and Kate of Gaia. We've got Miranda with us tonight, and we've got also Dezert with us, and of course Kate. Are you going to comment, Kate?
Sorry, what was that, Tony?
I say, you going to say anything, Kate?
Am I going to sound in? Absolutely. You know me, I'm a noisy bitch. Anyway, we got Desert Owl and Miranda. We're gonna have some fun taking a walk down the yellow brick road and opening some eyes tonight, and some ears, and hopefully some hearts, because that's where the answer truly lies. I was just talking to the good witch Glinda of the North, and she just reminded me that you've always had the answer within. Now click your heels together and say, "No place like home, no place like home, no place like home," and I'll see you there. Because we're there, and we're just waiting for everyone else to show up. Fair?
Cryptic from the first word.
Oh, damn straight. I'm not messing around anymore, because this game is just far too much fun. So let's make sure we got Dezert and Miranda. We got you guys or what?
Hi, guys.
I'm standing by.
Right on. Anyway, if we can get both Dezert and Miranda to talk a little bit about what their magic tricks are, and just to give the people an idea of we've had both as guests before, but for any of the new listeners, absolutely, Miranda, if you can tell us a little bit about lexicograms, how they work, what their meanings are, and then Dezert, you can give your intro, and we'll get this yellow brick road walk going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, go right ahead, Miranda, and I'll follow.
Okay, hi. Lexicograms. It's a term used to describe a mystical property of words similar to numerology, and lexicograms decode hidden messages in words or titles by putting together full sentences from letters in that word that convey a deeper meaning of the original word, and it is considered a spiritual process. It's not a game, it's very deep. It's similar to anagrams, but that's just for fun, whereas this really penetrates and makes you really discover what's within.
A very cryptic continuation.
It gets better, kids. Stay tuned.
How about you, Dezert?
Right, and that was interesting to hear that from Miranda. Lexigram, that's actually what I do. I just didn't know that term in particular with words, as I did earlier today with you guys. Remember, holy. I gave that example. That was a lexigram where I decode or read the symbol, and so I'll be interested in hearing more from Miranda on that. But I've been researching for 40 years now. last 20 years, I got into 20 years ago. I got into political activism. So I brought the ancient studies into our modern fold because I could just read all of the signs and all of the enigmas within our modern time, and then kind of realized that we were in an occult world that goes back to the beginning of time, and basically tried to get involved politically, then realized that it was bigger than me, and basically there was nothing legitimate about the government or anything, so therefore you couldn't really
the foe. And interestingly, Dezert, Al, you mentioned earlier about W and M, and I totally agree. And whenever I have a W, if there isn't an M in whatever I'm lexigramming, I will flip it over and do the mirror image so that you can have an M. I think that's very important.
And like a Z can be an N as well. Again, you have to be creative, and this is one of the things that this is why I'm loving having both you and Dezert, all four of us actually. I'm hoping that Zoe might be able to show up too. But what Dezert did was one of the previous shows that we did with him was he did the straw man. I'll expand on this just to show you the perspective, Dezert. What you did was a perfect straw man interpretation of the Wizard of Oz, using full analytical and seeing the legal fiction straw man from the straw man mindless viewpoint, and it was beautiful. And what we're doing then is, once you discover what the straw man really is, that is the illusion and the trap to get you thinking that you can solve something within that paradigm, which you can't. There's no remedy there. There never was, but there is a way out, and that's what we had to do is change our tack and move down the yellow brick road. Remember when the scarecrow in the movie, when Dorothy first comes across the scarecrow, there's a number of different ways that she could have went, because the scarecrow didn't know which way to go, and he pointed his arms in either way, so it was kind of a mindless activity. But what Dorothy did was she followed her instincts, and it took her on the right road. And that's what happens with us when we get caught up in our straw man analytical, is we can go off in so many different directions, and only one of those paths leads home, and it's the only one that does is the intuitive. So that's when you break free of the straw man, when you stop using all the analyticals, the anal light I calls, right? You don't want to be, analysis all the time, right? So when you follow your heart, where does that road lead next to? It leads next to the Tin Man, who is lacking of a heart. So what we're doing in that intuitive is we've overcome the analytical aspect of trying to decipher everything, because that is the illusion, and now we're moving to find the vessel in which we can put our heart back into, right? So, and then we have to move further down the road, go through a lot of things, and we get into those dark, deep woods and all the rest of it. And of course, the Cowardly Lion comes out, and he comes across as this big, big show of pomp and circumstance. But when he goes after Toto and Dorothy slaps him, he starts to cry. So what that is you cannot feign courage, and you have to find that courage within to keep moving down the road. And there we have our straw man to find the true mind, the right mind, which is the intuitive. So we took that path and we moved. Now we have to find our heart, where we come into the unconditional love aspect, and then we move on to find the courage to finally get to the Emerald City. And now keep in mind, before they get there, they have to go through the poppy field, which is the symbolic of, putting us to sleep, the dozier ones. And the only thing that could wake Dorothy, Toto, and the lion up, because they were, of the flesh, was the cold, hard truth called snow. And there's your red and white, and that factors in with the Santa Claus trails that I've been mapping. And these signs and symbols are everywhere. As soon as you start to see things for what they really are, and it's just a game, just a ride, then you start having fun with it.
Absolutely.
So we've been having fun, eh, Miranda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just a coincidence. What do you call your dogs?
Poppy and Ruby. And I only realised yesterday how pertinent that was, didn't I?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then again, the name that keeps popping up for me a lot, has most of my life, is the name Gabriel. And it didn't dawn on me until recently just got a new dog from Jim's taking care of her right now, and I named her Gabby from Gabrielle. And that's in memory of a dog I got my dad years ago that we couldn't keep, and her name was Gabrielle. So I was bringing the new press scent or pre-scent now of Gabrielle, and part of our trail that we've been going on, of course, is Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. And I was going through the Black's Law magic book, and of course, I go with what resonates, right? And Hugh Jackman, his character in Van Helsing was Gabrielle Van Helsing. And of course, look at his co-star. Just a coincidence that it's Kate Beckinsale. And for those that know what Ka-Ti means, or Ka, Kate, it's how I say it, Ka-Ti, which is Ka, Egyptian for spirit, Ti, note of love. So the spirit of love beckons all. But it's just a coincidence. But once you start seeing things in the green aspect, the green language, then things start to get a whole lot more fun. They start to get a whole lot more clear. And effectively, what's happened to us, excuse me, is we've lost our way on our treasure hunt. And it really is. It's a real treasure hunt to find the keys to the treasure chest, and that's quite literal. Where X St. marks the spot, and a whole myriad of other things. Take it from there for a sec, guys, because I've got some stuff pulled up here, but this is going to get real surreal for you guys real quick. So get your seatbelts on.
Basically, it just turns out that they've hidden the clues everywhere. I mean, I was listening to Santos Bonacci's stuff, of course, as you do, and quite a while ago, I think it was Ecclesiastical Law and Sovereignty, and he was explaining about the synchronicities within the Little Red Riding Hood movies, Humpty Dumpty, and some basic poems. And he was spelling them out using different terminologies, as in astrotheology, and also referring to the Bible a lot, as how the same things are hidden within the Bible as that are hidden within movies, and the same things that are hidden in the movies are hidden in cartoons, and they're also hidden in everyday life if we start to pay attention to them on a level whereby you can decode them. And it's a series of decoding. I don't know. I think it's a mindset. I wouldn't really know how to describe it. It's like where do you start? The only thing that springs to mind is some more words in the Bible. What is it? Thou cannot drink the milk of the words. In other words, you couldn't get this, and it's no good reading the book because you just can't see it. It's not going to be there, but it's there cryptically, and it's only till you can start breaking the codes that a cryptic or allegory can come out. And the Bible's written the same way, the movies are written the same way, the cartoons are written the same way, the English language is written the same way, the letterings and spellings are written the same way. And once you begin to uncover this allegoric pattern within experience all around us, and all of the above that I've mentioned, and more, incidentally, you can't start to decode it. But it's getting that plumbing close now. More than taste it, you can see it, and you can verify it, and you can double check it. Especially now we've discovered the Black's Law 9, or Kate's discovered, or Kate got delivered the Black's Law 9th edition. But it's the weirdest set of things that you could possibly imagine, but it's making sense. Yeah, and it's cross-referenceable. It's incredible stuff. I don't know if anybody wants a comment there. Miranda or Kate, I would have thought.
I totally agree. I mean, all the threads, we're weaving a huge tapestry now, and it is all coming together, and we've all got different colours and different threads to bring to that. I don't know if you quickly want to... I've got another Earthling one that I did that I can read if you would like, just to get you back on the old...
Lexicon.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'll do you another one. So, Earthlings are angels. Earthlings are angles. Earthlings are triangles. Earthlings are regal heirs. Earthlings are legal heirs. Earthlings Earthlings, only going to use letters from that word, and this is a little lexigram, and then it ends up being a poem. So Earthlings share, heal things, Earthlings align, Earthlings heal the earth, heal the heart, heal the ether, heal the air. Earthlings release the sin, Earthlings let's share, Earthlings let's share the earth, let's release the tears. Earthlings let's share the light and share the air. Tesla is the light. Seal this earth, seal the hearts, his and hers, hers and his. Listen, Earthlings, she the earth sang, she is the sign. Earthlings listen, listen then glisten. She is the light, he is the light. Ears hear the earth sing.
Very good. Is that your original interpretation of that word, Earthling?
Yeah, and I've been interpreting lots of different things recently, so it's quite, I mean, I've been really sort of going, whoo, out there with this at the moment.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I mainly wanted to bring you on, Miranda, because we speak in the same language.
Yeah.
And we see the same coincidences, and what I was trying to explain earlier is about threads that weave, and there's Miranda and Zoe, like right off the bat, nothing personal with anyone, it's just I've done most of the work with that, that we've learned how to weave our threads together, and Tony too, to bring things into the now moments, where things will trigger, and you'll see how your thread is so critical to you and only you. It's like, I use this example. Your birthday is special to you. It doesn't make you special because there's millions of people on the planet that share it. What is special about it is the fact that there are clues in it for you and only you from your thread's perspective. And what I've been doing with Miranda and Zoe and Tony and a few others, that once you start to see how the panorama or the matrix unfolds before you, it becomes fun. And I want you to do the Wizard of Oz lexigram if you can, please, Miranda, just to... we're really going outside the box on the cosmic blueprints tonight, so hope everybody's ready with seatbelts.
Totally.
Okay, I'll just explain that... which one are we doing? Or Gravity Falls?
Wizard of Oz, then we'll do Gravity Falls, because I want to start showing people how to tie this together and how the Black's Magic 9th edition works.
Because I haven't done a Wizard of Oz one. Oh, did I? Hang on, no, I have, haven't I? Yes, sorry.
You have, did it? You talked it yesterday on the show. I know you're so beautiful. I love you.
Oh my God, hang on, let me find it. It's typical, the only one I didn't get up. Hang on, where is it? Lexigrams. Oh, here we go, yeah. So, the Wizard of Oz. We are Dozier. We are Dozier. Dorothea. Oh dear. Oh dear. Weird red footwear. A foot. 2 foot. Toward the road, the triad drift. To the tor. The toroid. The trio trod the road. The triad. A thread adrift. The trio are DOA. The trio tread the road with Dorothea with weird red footwear. Head for the wizard. To the wizard door. The Theodore. To the whiz. To the head wizard. White-haired wizard. The road to freedom. Wet the weirdo with water. Wither her. Froth her. Zero her. Hot air raised her. Hear the hurts. Hear the heart rate. Frodo.
Legitimately fix it when it was all smoke and mirrors, and so I went past the illusions and went into really how the world is operating on a grander scale and trying to put the pieces together on the ancient history and how it all came forward from the beginning of time, collecting lost writings, and then being a symbologist, expert in symbolism, and etymologist, expert on root forms of words, and mythologist, able to interpret ancient mythologies. I studied mythologies from around the world, and as well as religions around the world. So I'm pretty studied, pretty well-rounded. I homeschooled, so I ended up with 2,000 books on the shelf, and I serve the great breath of the Heavenly Father, and want to try to do my part to make it a better world. But there's a lot of aggression going on out there trying to thwart all that. So, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the aggression's the challenge, isn't it? This is the point that we're actually getting to. It's not about fighting the system. It's about actually figuring out what are you trying to tell me, and that's what it comes down to, I think. But Kate.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record because until people get this, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's all about perspective and intention behind that perspective, and until people can start looking outside of their own boxes or their own narrow perspective of looking at it only one way as they were taught, as in pulled tight to believe, until they can let that fabric loose a little bit, their thread. We're all interweaving threads of the same fabric. And once you let go of a lot of the old paradigms and the belief systems that are there, all that stuff that was painted on your white canvas since you were born, until you can actually start scraping that stuff off, you will not, and I promise you, will not have an original idea in your head. And it's only when you can let go of what you thought you knew that you will actually start, making room for what you really need to learn. And most of this journey, for me anyway, has been about staying original and learning and unlearning things at the same time. Exposing things for what they are, not for what people tell me they are. It's sort of like someone talking about they heard something on the news and, well, that's great. Were you there? Well, no. Well, then, good one. Then shut up, I have that effect on pots and stuff around me. This shit falls off everywhere. It's awesome. It's not just on Skype, guys. It happens everywhere. It's beautiful. I must make the Invisible Wizard a little nervous, but that's okay. I love the Invisible Wizard.
Make sure it sounds like it's falling back up as well as down. It's all good. So any particular perspectives from your ideas, Dezert, on what we just said?
Well, no, I'm really interested in hearing Miranda talking about the lexigram. I'll be glad to give some examples of that, but I'll give the floor to her right now, because I'm intrigued.
Well, good. Miranda.
Okie dokie. Well, I don't know if you guys have all heard of Linda Goodman. She was a really amazing astrologer, and This is really... Oh, okay. She's supposedly no longer around, but I think she's probably immortal, but there you go. She wrote some amazing books. They're huge bestsellers. Sun signs, star signs, relationship signs, lots of them. And star signs was the most esoteric, and this is where I learned all about lexicograms. You can do it with people's names, you can do it with a sentence, or I'm just trying to think. Basically, you can base it on anything, but you can find a deeper, truer meaning of something. And just to give you an idea, and also what you do, so take a word, and I'm going to just give you a word, earthlings. So we've got EARTHLINGS. So I can use any letters from that word, but I'm